Lisa, it strikes me that you have Trump on the trail downplaying this, but also mocking DOJ. How are prosecutors who are going to bring this case watching and processing what Donald Trump is saying?
I think they're watching what he's saying all the time because, Alicia, as we know from watching the E. Jean Carroll trial, this is a person who is the worst witness against himself and oftentimes does it in ways that are recorded, right? We have the Bedminster recording here that's memorialized in the indictment. That's where Donald Trump effectively said, look at this. This is the secret document. And I should have declassified this when I was still president, and I can't anymore. That's the equivalent of the Access Hollywood tape in the E. Jean Carroll trial. And he may still go on to say things on the trail and beyond that will further serve as evidence against him in any trial of this indictment.
And to think he could just not be on the trail. He could be staying silent, and instead he is potentially adding. Ken, I want to play a soundbite. This is from Delegate Stacey Plaskett, and it is about the talking point you have Republicans repeating, and that is that the DOJ has been weaponized. Take a listen.
To say that the entire rule of law of the United States should be dismantled, should be defunded, because it is looking into white nationalists, insurrectionists, and President Trump is absolutely ludicrous and very, very dangerous. And that's what my colleagues such as Jim Jordan, Comer, as well as Speaker McCarthy are doing to lay a foundation for Americans not to believe the indictment and not to believe a conviction of former President Trump.
Ken, I'm sure you see what I see, which is an asymmetry here. Talk to us about the limitations the special counsel has when then defending itself against those kinds of attacks.
It's a very astute point, Alicia. Asymmetry is a good word for it. Look, the Justice Department just can't talk outside the four corners of the indictment. They almost didn't talk when you saw Jack Smith. They were going to wait until Tuesday to unseal this thing. That's the normal procedure. But, some people who are in the communications business got to them and said, wait a second, guys, you cannot give Donald Trump 4 days to shape the narrative here. It's just so frustrating as a reporter who covers the Justice Department and tries to seek the truth. Not in a partisan way, because I know that the truth is that Merrick Garland and the political appointees of the Justice Department have stayed as far away from this as they possibly could. That's why Jack Smith, had that news conference at his offices separate from the Justice Department. Garland has been briefed on this case, but he hasn't made any substantive decisions. It's been Jack Smith's show. And Jack Smith is a lot of things, but he's a career prosecutor. He's devoted his life to enforcing the law. He's brought cases against Republican politicians and Democratic politicians. So it's just not true that the FBI and the Justice Department have been weaponized in a political way in this case. And the indictment is one of the most compelling, documents of its kind that I've seen. You can argue about whether the retention charges should have been brought. I spoke to a former Trump-appointed U.S. attorney today who said, I really wish they didn't charge him with keeping the classified documents, but boy, the obstruction case is absolutely damning. This was a Republican appointed by Donald Trump. So the real issue here in question is, will you see more Republicans, fair-minded Republicans, who actually read this and take it for what it is, and talk about it and the issues that it raises around Donald Trump's handling of the nation's secrets? I
agree with you that is one of the big questions. Another big question, Lisa, this case was assigned to a Trump-appointed judge, Aileen Cannon. She was made pro-Trump rulings, you remember. There's new reporting, this is within the hour, from the New York Times. It cites the chief clerk of the federal court system in Miami, confirming Judge Cannon would, quote, continue to oversee the case unless she recused herself.
It's not much news. It's confirmation, but it's not much news because that's the way it's supposed to work. So Judge Cannon received this case, as improbable as it seems to you, me, and folks like Ken, through the random assignment process.
It's one of 7 judges. I mean, I'm not a statistician, but...
Well, and your point about it being one of 7 judges is an important one because it's a random assignment within a smaller universe of judges in this district. This district follows something called the 1 division rule, meaning you can't be further than 1 division adjacent to where the case was filed. Even though this case was filed in Miami, the Department of Justice checked a box on the last page saying this is a West Palm Beach case. And that put Aileen Cannon firmly within the group of people who could get this case. But in terms of taking it away from her, the only way it does get taken away from her right now is if she either voluntarily recuses herself.
Which you think is unlikely?
I think it's really unlikely, or the Department of Justice makes a motion. And they are up against a ticking time clock right now with respect to the election and even the possibility of another Trump inauguration. So it's not clear to me that they're going to spend their precious time bringing a motion to recuse Judge Cannon here.
Complicated.